quick question. Do more than 10% of your people use generative AI to increase productivity at work? Is that something that's happening for anyone in the room?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
More.
You're probably not in the US, are you? What country are you?
In Germany.
Germany?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. What's happening with your American companies? Who is an American company here? Okay, we need to work on this. Yeah, we need more, like mostly what we found is people use it personally, like for personal things, but they've not figured out how to bring it into the workplace yet. And typically they're sort of waiting for almost like a corporate communication, right? That provides that information and says it's fine to use this at work and here's a guidance of how to do it. So that's something many companies haven't done. In fact, we've got this slide where it's only roughly around 10% of companies that are actually implementing their generative AI strategies. Everyone else is in the wait and see mode, right? They haven't figured out how to do this, and we are really figuring out how to nudge people, right? How do we push them to get started with this? There's a reason why you want to do this. If the presentation in the last hour and a half hasn't convinced you yet, here are some charts. Some people like charts. So this chart's from consulting companies. They love charts the most. This is from BCG and Harvard Business School. It talks about 3 areas that got improved for their consultants. They talk about task completion rate that went up by 12%. The speed of tasks, it went up by 25%. And then task quality went up by 40%. That's huge. They also have another set of charts that showed the improvement they divided their staff into 2, the very high top performers and then the people who are not in the high top performers. With that one, they found for the highest performers, they got a 17% boost in their productivity. And then for the rest of it, other people received 43% boost in productivity. So these are big numbers, right? And it's worth looking into this. And I will also be the first to mention that yes, there's boost to productivity, but there's also boost to mistakes that can be made. So that's why you do want to have a session where you talk about mistakes and potential issues so that you're, yes, taking advantage of this productivity and progress, but also doing it in a careful manner. And that continues to evolve over time. In fact, I'll ask, what would you say are like the key reasons you or your employees are not using AI right now?
They're still not bought into it necessarily. We just did a poll recently, and I would say 200 out of 6,000 people were using it. So right now we're starting a campaign to try and raise awareness to say, hey, you can use it. There's this idea that we're not allowing them to use it, but actually we want them to use it.
Okay, fantastic. All right, I saw a couple more hands go up.
So we have privacy concerns, right? So if you're putting, enterprise data into ChatGPT, where does that go? There's compliance type concerns as well.
Okay, that's a very interesting question, actually. I don't know if Peter, have you guys met Peter already? Did he introduce himself? Raise up your hand, Peter.
Yep.
Handsome young man from Hungary. Yes, so he's an incredible executive coach in Silicon Valley and has worked with us and several of our companies. And there was a time we actually addressed that question of privacy. And I think what we came up with was, that's very true. But then if you were to list out, 10 to 20 things you could do with Gen AI, are there 5 or even a little more where the privacy concerns are a lot reduced? Those are some of the kind of things we work with teams to understand. Is what use cases can work, right? IT, actually, they just put a blanket block on it because they're not even aware. They're not the experts at this. They've not thought about it. It's literally just months old. IT is not aware. They just have a blanket block. They are waiting for business to provide the guidance. They're waiting for legal to provide the guidance. They're waiting for outside consultants like us at Ahura AI to provide the guidance, and then we'll work on what. For example, there was a session we ran with a couple of sales folks, and what we found is there's a lot less risk when you are prospecting. The email you're trying to draft for a prospect is typically public information that you don't care, you don't mind sharing. But if you're drafting an email to an existing customer, there's a higher risk you're about to share something that is proprietary, so perhaps don't use it that way, or at least be more careful. So that's a simple example. So we are starting to figure out frameworks on how to be safer with these tools. right? Another one is planning, right? We have interns at our firm, and sometimes we have a problem that they want to solve. Instead of just coming to ask their manager, they can ask ChatGPT for a 5-step plan. It's pretty, helpful and saves everybody time. So, based on that, yes, I'm going to sell you on a program. If you're interested in it afterwards, tell me, reach out to us and have a chat with us. We're all about providing service and helping improve productivity in firms. And if this is something you're interested in, definitely let us know. In fact, for 2 minutes, I will help share with you. Well, this is talking about, generative AI manager training that we run. It's a mix of either 1-day full executive masterclass for a select group of, say, 20 people, or if you want it larger, it's typically a virtual program. We usually advise to split it across 4 weeks so that we integrate actual activities every week and ensure that people are actually using what they've learned, right? So we can set it up in a bespoke manner to fit what you want. And some reasons why this really works well. 4 of them, they address the reasons why companies don't have their people using AI right now. The first one's time, right? We've heard people always say they haven't had the time to learn about the tools, right? They haven't had time to learn about the tools. But if you set aside 2 hours or 3 hours in 1 week or over several weeks, you put it on their calendar, you're giving them the time to grow themselves, to learn about these critical tools that can potentially drive over 20% increase in performance, right? This is huge. I think you should give them that 2 to 3 hours to do it. And we'll create that time for them. The second one is in terms of practical application and relevance, right? What's that application and how does it fit into their business rules? You can curate this training to work for particular departments, for the marketing department, for the sales department, for operations, or for engineering. We work to curate what gets shared to be actually fit what that department is looking for. And then the other ones, even things I don't write on the slide. The piece you mentioned about belief that the tool works, right? Do you know who else had that bottle? The coach himself. Peter did not believe this works. Do you want to share a bit about that experience? That was like 5 months ago.
Yeah, so that was a funny moment. So I'm our executive coach, and he asked me, "Well, do you use Gen AI?" And I said, "Not really." And so he asked me, like, why? Well, some of my bottles, and for those who are not here when I coached people on Monday, the opening was a bottle is a limiting belief. What's in the bottle is what you believe is possible for you, and what's outside of the bottle are the things that you don't believe that are possible. So why would you try those things? So one of my beliefs was that it would take so much time investment to learn something to get to a point where I save more time than what I invested. And so what Alex did on one of our coaching calls was, okay, Peter, we're going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to teach you. So the roles reversed. So he taught me how to use some of the tools, and my mind was so blown by how you can do something in a few seconds that would save me hours. So one example that he showed me was I can tell ChatGPT to create content for a website plus 2 Instagram posts using a certain voice of a certain marketing guru for a certain audience, and combine that and give me the output. And for me, English is my 3rd language, that was amazing. I mean, that would have taken me like 2 hours to draft, and this was already correct grammar. So just some fine tuning, and that was just one thing I learned in like 5 minutes. And the second 5 minutes was me just playing with it. So Alex tapped on my bottle of like what my limiting beliefs were on ChatGPT and Gen AI, and now I use it in many ways.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Peter. And with that's really it. If you're interested in talking about this, scan the code, schedule some time. But for the rest of the time, please network, mingle with people. And we never announced it, actually. We do have a step and repeat wall outside that door. So if you want to take pictures with that, please feel free. Thank you so very much for attending the Gen AI Expo today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the time.